spectacular things. Happy Friday. I hope everyone is doing phenomenal and having a great week so far. Welcome back to the Cavern of Secrets. And I have to ask, are any of you familiar with the legends of the Bunnyman or Cropsey? Because I'll admit, I had no idea about either one of these beings before. I first saw the Bunnyman on Twitter. People were posting GIFs with a guy dressed in a bunny suit, wielding an axe, a chainsaw, or a hatchet. I didn't know it was an urban legend at the time until I came across it while researching urban legends in other states. Because I'm not going to know every urban legend that each state or town within have. Most of us are familiar with the ones associated with our state or area. Unless you're curious like me and have done a lot of research because you're kind of a nerd. I've researched all kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm familiar with the most popular ones like the Hookman, Bloody Mary, and if you are curious to know about Bloody Mary and where that legend may have started from, I'll leave the card up on the screen for your enjoyment. And I'm also familiar with Wendigos, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yetis, the Mothman, and of course the lake monsters like Nessie, Ogopogo, and Champ. And Nessie, I think we all are familiar with, even if we aren't from Scotland, we all have heard the stories. And I would love to go to Scotland and see the loch. Just to see the loch. Not that I'm hoping to see Nessie, because I have my doubts about Nessie. I also would love to go see Ogopogo. Well, at least try to see Ogopogo, because those stories, I don't know. I mean, the lake that Ogopogo is associated with is massive and has a lot of deep areas. So you never know. Even Nessie, I guess you never know. I guess it's possible. But before we get into the Bunnyman and where this urban legend may have started from, click that like and subscribe button to become fans of the channel. It's the best thing to be. And trust me, you'll wish you had. It's such a amazing group. I love the people. They're great. So just do it. Just subscribe. Now, the Bunnyman is kind of graphic, so I urge anybody who is not okay or has a hard time with animal cruelty to maybe skip to the Cropsey part of the video. I will leave a timestamp in the description just in case you really just don't want to hear about that type of stuff. There are many stories surrounding the Bunnyman in Northern Virginia. One claims at the stroke of midnight on Halloween, a killer in a white rabbit suit awaits. If you speak his name 3 times, he'll appear. Kind of like Candyman or Bloody Mary. However, in this story, the Bunnyman will slash your throat and leave your body hanging from Bunnyman Bridge, which you can see directly behind me. Another tale claims that the Bunnyman is an escaped mental patient that haunts the railroad bridge, hell-bent on avenging the murders of his wife and child, who were slain in the woods nearby. Supposedly, the Bunnyman lives in the woods where he hunts and kills rabbits, wearing their skins and leaving their mutilated bodies hanging in the trees. Yeah, that's pretty disturbing, to say the least. And I'm okay with people, hunting animals for food, but hunting them for anything else just really upsets me, to be honest. There are plenty of other tales like these surrounding Bunnyman Bridge, which is a 1-lane tunnel on Colchester Road, as you can see. A historian named Brian Conley started to do some digging surrounding the origins of this urban legend, because it seemed to have stuck with him, no matter where he went. So he scoured many Fairfax County police records when he stumbled across one that occurred in February 1949 and had made headlines. A mother and her 8-month-old baby girl were found dead in a shallow grave in Fairfax after disappearing during a car ride with the husband. This may be triggering for some, so I'm going to leave out the details. If you are curious to know the grisly details of this, I'm going to leave the link in the description below. The husband and father was eventually arrested, convicted, and sent to a mental institution. That explained one part of the stories, anyways, surrounding the being. The next piece was the bunny outfit. I mean, where the heck did that start? So, Brian did some more extensive research and found an article in the Washington Post on October 22nd, 1970. The story detailed the experience of an Air Force cadet with a girl who parked on Guinea Road in Fairfax for a little fun time. The military man explained how a man in a white suit with long bunny ears threw a hatchet through the car's windshield, then skipped off into the night. Now, other stories say that the bunny man screamed something about trespassing and then threw the hatchet through the windshield. The bunny man made another appearance on October 30th, 1970. Neighbors on Guinea Road reported seeing a man in a bunny suit hacking away at a house under construction with a hatchet, which seems to be his weapon of choice. When the man was confronted by security, he ran off. Police investigated but never found any evidence in the area to pinpoint a suspect. There are some people who are convinced that the story that is told is true, and feel that Fairfax County and Connolly are trying to cover something up. What are your thoughts on the legend? Do you believe the stories that are told, or do you think the criminal cases influenced and created the Bunny Man legend? Now, Cropsey, I actually kind of am familiar with, because I started watching the documentary. I don't remember what streaming service it was on. I think it was on Netflix, but I could be wrong. And when I first started watching it, I honestly thought that it was a found footage film. I should say found footage horror film. And it obviously wasn't. It honestly is a documentary. So, Cropsey, according to legend, is an escaped mental patient. Wow. What a surprise. Why is it always mental patients? Honestly. Anyways, who lives in the tunnels beneath the former Willowbrook State School on Staten Island, New York. He comes out late at night to snatch children from the streets, which sounds like a boogeyman. Depending on who you ask, though, Cropsey has a hook for a hand. Wow, the Hookman? Candyman? Oh, I wonder where Candyman got it from. Is it the Hookman legend, or is it based on a real entity or person? I'm curious. Maybe I'll look that up. Yeah, maybe I am going to look that up. Alright, anyways. Or he carries a bloody axe. Other stories state he's a ghoul that haunts the woods at night in service of Satan, which is so far from it being a person to a monster. Interesting. The case that inspired this legend begins on July 9th, 1987, when a 12-year-old girl born with Down syndrome named Jennifer Schwager went missing from her Staten Island neighborhood. The last person she was reported seen with was 43-year-old Andre Rand, an alleged mentally ill drifter. After searching for 35 days, police found the girl's body in a shallow grave near the Willowbrook State School. In 1988, Andre Rand was arrested in connection with the disappearance and passing of Jennifer Schwager. After his arrest, Rand was suspected of luring other children away, but no one could provide actual evidence that he was complicit in the disappearances. Most people who testified against him claimed that he looked like someone who would take their children. Not based on facts or anything, no, just because he looked a certain way. Rand was convicted of abducting Jennifer, but the murder charge was dismissed because jurors couldn't agree on whether he actually killed her or not. He received a sentence of 25 years to life. In 2004, 23 years after Holly Ann Hughes' disappearance, Rand was charged due to no statute of limitations. He received another 25 years to life. In the mid-60s, Rand worked as a custodian at the Willowbrook State School, which was a facility for mentally ill children who were abused and treated horribly while under the care of the facility. It gave him direct access to mentally disabled children, which is another reason why the police suspected him, along with he was also homeless. Yeah. In 1970, Rand reportedly pled guilty to assaulting a 9-year-old Bronx girl and was paroled in 1972. That same year, a man named Geraldo Rivera did an expose on the building number 6 of the Willowbrook Institution, which housed a large group of mental patients. He found the building filled with severely neglected children living in horrendous conditions. And to give you an idea of how bad these conditions were, after filming, Rivera noted that the most difficult thing to describe was the smell, which just tells you how bad that was. The facility wasn't shut down until 1987 after Rivera's expose. Yeah, that's a while. Some of the patients were transferred to units where they could be looked after. However, many were abandoned without care or supervision. It's believed that many stayed at the institution because it's the only life they knew. And when you're a young child and this is where you've grown up, you're not going to feel safe anywhere else because this is all you know. Among those transient squatters included Rand, who had taken up residence on the institution grounds. And because there's a bunch of people that stayed on the grounds, who's to say that somebody else around the grounds, not necessarily squatting or homeless, but somebody around the grounds took advantage of this and maybe thought it was the best place to bury the bodies, unfortunately, because it's basically the middle of nowhere and there's woods everywhere. And let's face it, we've all seen the serial killer videos and information surrounding them. They knew how to get rid of the bodies. I mean, come on, so many of them went undetected for so many years and were killing numerous people and nobody suspected the individuals. And a lot of them were respected or weren't even suspected because they were high-ranking members of society or were doing things for the community or whatever. Or they were good-looking. Ted Bundy. So it does make you wonder if sometimes the police jump the gun. And that's what I'm wondering with this case. But anyways, the question is, did Rand commit the crimes, or was he just the perfect person to pin everything on? And if you ask most of the people of Staten Island, they believe Andre Rand was a monster who kidnapped and harmed many children. However, there are also those that feel he was set up to take the fall, and I'm one of those. Because not only is there no physical evidence tying Rand to Jennifer, but it's also possible that someone else is responsible for her disappearance and passing. Who's to say it wasn't somebody that nobody would suspect doing the crimes, and they just jumped at a homeless, mentally ill person who supposedly was the last person to have seen Jennifer alive. But what if the last person that saw her alive was a teacher or a librarian, police officer, male person? You're not going to think they did it, but because this is a person who's homeless and mentally ill, automatically they think he did it. That's my only issue. And our media paints the homeless and mentally ill in such negative light that it isn't surprising if he was just a scapegoat in this situation. Especially since he was the first person to be arrested and easy to manipulate into a guilty plea. Unfortunately, children, teenagers, and mentally ill are easy to manipulate into a guilty plea. It happens a lot during interrogations. Unfortunately, it also allowed police to provide closure to the Swager family. And I understand when you're a family member and you're grieving the loss of your child and you don't want to know what happened to your child, you want your child returned, you are going to get pretty upset at the cops if they don't find somebody. You feel like they're not doing their job. But unfortunately, it's not easy to just grab anybody and bring them in, especially if there's not enough evidence or information to gather from a missing child case. I know both sides, and I understand both sides, is what I'm trying to say. And that's not to say that Rand didn't do the crime. It's just there's not enough evidence to prove that he did. Jennifer Schwager wasn't the only child to have gone missing during that time frame either. In July 1972, a 5-year-old Alice Pereira disappeared, along with a 7-year-old Holly Ann Hughes in July 1981. And a 10-year-old Ty Hughes Jackson disappeared in August 1983. Rand was allegedly responsible but never formally charged for abducting a series of children with mental disabilities, as well as one young man with a low IQ, 22-year-old Henry Gaffario, who disappeared in June 1984. And I don't think it's fair that they put all of these on Rand when there's no evidence saying that he abducted them. That's just my only issue. What do you think? And if you want to know more about Cropsey, I strongly suggest watching the documentary titled Cropsey. I'm not entirely sure where you can stream it, and I will put the links if I find where you can stream them. I'll put that information in the description as well. I thought it was well done, and it definitely looked into everything surrounding the case and the location. Do you think Andre Rand was guilty of the crime? Or was he just a victim of the system? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I mean, I'll admit I noticed a common trend between the two legends, which are in different states. Both the Bunnyman and Cropsey in their legends are mentally ill. And as someone who has worked in the mental health field and worked with people with mental illnesses and severe mental illnesses, most are not violent like the films and media portray them as. However, since they are so often misunderstood, it's easy to cast them as monsters. And it's sad, it's heartbreaking, because it's why they aren't given the proper care that they need. Because we automatically associate them as monsters. And many homeless are mentally ill because we don't have the mental health facilities anymore. And it's tragic. It really is. We need to have more programs for these individuals. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around till the end. I hope you have a great week. I should say weekend. Next week, I'll be sharing 2 urban legends surrounding Japanese games. Are you one of those that will actually play and try them? And my review of the show, Primal. I know it's not a horror show or anything, but I'm a huge dinosaur fan. And the show is available to stream on HBO Max for those interested. And I wish you could watch season 2, but it's only season 1 so far. And it does end on a cliffhanger, and it's driving me crazy because I want to know what happens. Can't wait for the content upcoming. Check out my other videos on the screen and click that bell icon to never miss a video. Thanks again. Take care until next time. Bye, everyone.